build that many community lots in The Sims. I'm usually just more interested in building houses. But ever since we got that Book Nook kit last week, I've had this vision in my head of this old building. There's walls of books. And now I kind of want to build a library. I'm honestly kind of picturing something like the library that comes with university. The problem is the university library, and I don't mean to be rude, but the university library is a little bit ugly. I feel like it has potential. It's just not really that well executed. So to be honest, I kind of want to build something in this style, just maybe a little bit better. The big brick building with the wings on either side, that's kind of the vibes that I'm going for. I just wish that this one was less ugly. Honestly, half the problem, and this might be a weird thing to say, is the roof. For some reason, this roof texture looks unfinished to me. And it sucks because it's not really a bad swatch, but because it's the default swatch, whenever I see it, it just looks like someone forgot to paint the roof. I think of this roof swatch as being the same as this unfinished wallpaper. So whenever I see it, I feel like it looks bad. And then, you know, there's the rest of it, which is also not really my favorite thing they've done. I like the idea of building a university library too, because I feel like most of the time when I make libraries, they're more community center focused. So they've got a lot of kids stuff and there's playgrounds in the back, and that's fun and really useful for the game. I just don't normally build things like this where it's more study based. So with that being said, let's get started with this build because we have a lot of work to do. This one is a 50 by 40 lot, so it's huge and we've got a lot of space to fill. Luckily with things like this, we can use a lot of pathways and gardens and fountains and stuff to fill empty spaces. In my head, I'm envisioning this library to be really old and really grand. To be honest, the shape of it almost ends up looking like the town hall from the Sims 3 base game. It kind of has Sunset Valley vibes. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I feel like when you compare things to the Sims 3 base game, it sounds bad. I'm just using that as a descriptor for the kind of building that it is. It's very big, it's got big columns and big fancy old windows. Part of the vision in my head was to have a really big fountain right in the front of the building. And you know what? We've got a lot of really nice big fountains in this game. I feel like we've got quite a few options, but I ended up using the one from Romantic Garden Stuff. I don't really think about Romantic Garden Stuff that often. It's definitely not like on my top list of favorite packs, but it actually has a couple interesting items. There's some really nice landscaping, but there's two kind of gameplay items. The first being this fountain, and it's nice because your Sims can get into the fountain. They can like stomp around and play in the water and stuff. And the other one is a wishing well, which I did not use here, but actually is kind of fun. But I really liked the fountain your Sims can get into because I feel like a lot of universities have traditions like that. My college had a big fountain sort of thing in front of the library, and they had this event called Spirit Splash where they would like put rubber ducks in there and you would all run into the fountain and try and get one. To be honest, from what I've heard about this Spirit Splash thing that happened at my school, it almost sounds like it's dangerous because everybody's like running into the fountain and trampling each other. I feel like somebody's gonna end up getting hurt, and it's in the water, so there's extra room for concern there. Yeah, definitely not my thing. I never went to that, but you know, it exists, and I feel like other schools probably have similar stuff. With this whole building, I was kind of trying to focus a lot on things that might come in handy for university gameplay though. So on the inside, I tried to remedy a lot of the concerns that I have with the original library. Whenever I have my Sims come to any library ever, I feel like I never have enough computers there. This is a problem with all of the libraries, not just the university one, but I usually go there when my Sims don't have any money and I need to like borrow a computer. So I'll go to the library to try and start writing a book, and there's just like 3 computers there and there's already a Sim using all 3 of them. And then I have to end up resetting somebody to try and get them off the computer, and it becomes a whole thing. So on this lot, I tried to make sure I had plenty of computers everywhere. There's computers on like all the floors, there's extra chess tables, there's extra space to do your homework. I didn't want to have to worry about not having enough space. And then I've also found when playing with university, I usually struggle with my Sims needs a little bit because university is actually kind of hard and my Sims are tired all the time. So I kind of considered putting a coffee machine in here because it might be useful to have a coffee maker, but honestly, gameplay wise, I never use the coffee, and frankly, I just find it more annoying than helpful. So instead of coffee, I opted to put a couch in a couple places so there was spots for your Sims to nap. I don't think that falling asleep in a quiet place in the library is that unlikely either in real life, so I feel like it kind of checked out, but it's also just useful for your Sims to have a spot to sleep if you need to while you're trying to finish your projects and stuff. I also put a dumpster in the back, and to be honest, my reasoning sounds kind of bad, but but I like to make sure that I have woohoo spots in various places. And so I made sure I had a dumpster here. There's plenty of bathrooms and stuff. They're on both sides of the building. And then I also put a couple other skill building related items. So in university, there's this whole speech and debate thing that you can do. And so I put one of those items up here so you could come practice at the library. And then I also put sort of an art studio in here. I considered putting a robotics machine so you'd have an easy place to do robotics too. But I decided that robotics might be too loud to be in this quiet library. And so I put some like easels and stuff instead. I don't know how realistic that part is to have like an art room in this library building. But as far as The Sims goes, I feel like it's pretty useful. So I put it there anyway. And at this point, we've made a lot of progress with the exterior of the building. I've got all the windows placed, it's painted. I figured out all the pathways and stuff. So the exterior layout's done. And now we're jumping inside to try and figure out the interior floor plan, which honestly, I felt like wasn't that difficult. It's so interesting because sometimes floor plans just come together so perfectly. And then other times it takes you ages of redoing it to try and figure out how to best make it work. But this one I felt like just kind of fit together. Honestly, it helped that it was symmetrical, which is weird because sometimes building houses that have a symmetrical layout like this are kind of difficult. But for a library, it's pretty easy because you can just have like a bathroom on each side. You can have bookshelves mirroring each other on each side. But in a house, it's hard because you don't want to have a kitchen on each side, you know? So the floor plan's a little bit more difficult when it's just like this. The other difficult thing, oh my goodness, freezes in this game are so glitchy. I'm talking about like the wall decor. It's sort of like that band around the top of the building. It looks a little bit sculptural. It's kind of decorative. Listen, I love these things. They are beautiful. I feel like the freeze kind of makes the exterior because it looks so nice, but the freezes in this game are so glitchy. It is so annoying. You're gonna see throughout the rest of this speed build me constantly going back and trying to mess with it and it like deleting itself. All of the stuff in this game that is based on the rooms I found kind of has trouble at times. So the freezes want to place on the room, and then when you add different parts or put fences, the freezes glitch out, and it's so annoying. I do fix it by the end, so it's totally fine on the gallery. There were just times where I was trying to work on this while I was building it, and I was like, you know what? I simply cannot bring myself to deal with this right now. Like, I'm just gonna have to leave it there glitched because I don't even want to look at it. So you'll see it glitched, and it's gonna stay glitched until the very end because I couldn't even bring myself to think about it. I was like, you know what? Not right now. Maybe later, not right now. So I just ignored it and I kept on building. You can kind of see the layout coming together now though. So we have a main entrance that's sort of 2 stories and it walks you into a little tiled section and the staircases go upstairs to where a lot of bookshelves are. And this is where that new kit came in handy because I wanted to have bookshelves all the way up the wall, like everywhere. And I really use those bookshelves a lot. It's kind of funny because as you're placing this, each one of those things that slots together, each piece counts as one bookshelf. There's sort of 3 sizes that I was using. There's one big one medium one, and then one small one. So technically each tile of this has 3 bookshelves on it. Well, for a library lot in The Sims, the lot requirements only ask you to have 3 bookshelves total. And that's because they sort of try and put the bare minimum in the lot requirements because that way you could build a library on a very small lot if you wanted to. So we're certainly gonna have more than 3 bookshelves most times we make a library. In this one, I don't just have 3. In total, I have 173. So on the lot requirements list, it says 173 out of 3 bookshelves. Yeah, I don't think we have enough. I think we could probably use some more. There's kind of a distinct lack of bookshelves in this building. I probably should have gone in and added some extra, you know, only 173 isn't gonna cut it. But it really did make me laugh to see that requirement list and see how many we had placed. So upstairs is sort of like the main book area because there was more walls to fill with bookshelves. And then there's also 2 rooms upstairs for the 2 skills. There's the research and debate room and then also the art room. And then downstairs, there's kind of 2 sides to it. So on either side of the staircase, there's kind of like 2 smaller office rooms almost. There's one big main room where the front desk is, where you would like check in and out the books and things. There's a bathroom on either side. And then in the back, there's another room that I kind of wasn't sure what to do with. I sort of thought about maybe making it into a cafeteria because we had talked about wanting to make this lot be able to fill all your Sims needs. so you could stay here for a long time and study and everything. But in practice, I felt like adding a cafeteria into the library was kind of weird. Like, I didn't think it really made sense, because that's sort of why we have those student union lots in this pack. So I ended up deciding to not add the cafeteria, but I did put some vending machines. So your sim can still come here and they can eat and stuff, but there isn't like a full cafeteria setup. And instead, I made that back room, it's where the vending machines are, but I kind of thought about the back room as being maybe like the slightly louder section. So a lot of times in university libraries in real life, they'll kind of have it so that as you're going up levels, it gets quieter. So in some spaces, you might be working on a group project, so there's gotta be some space to talk, but then once you get to like level 3, you gotta be completely silent, if that makes sense. So I was kind of picturing that back room as being a more loud space. Still a library, obviously, but it's like not frowned upon to be discussing with your team members about things back there. This is obviously not at all how The Sims works. The Sims is not gonna be doing anything like that. I'm just sort of pretending based on how real life stuff works. The Sims is not gonna follow any sort of quiet rules you try and set. They're all gonna just come crowd around you and try and talk to you anyway. I gotta be honest, I find that so annoying when you come to a place like this because you want your sim to work on something. Like you're trying to finish a paper, you're trying to write a book, and so you're trying to have them dedicate time to finishing it, and then like random townies keep talking to them so it interrupts and they're multitasking. Oh my god, go away. I do not want to speak to you. I don't want to hear from you. Leave me alone. It's kind of funny for me to look back on that because in The Sims 3 and like previous Sims games, you didn't have multitasking. They couldn't like be writing a book and talking to someone at the same time. That was actually sort of a huge deal in The Sims 4 when we first got it. So it's kind of funny for me to be sitting here complaining about it and like complaining about how annoying it is because when it first happened, I was so excited about it. And honestly, it's still cool. Like it's still useful most of the time, just not when I'm trying to focus. Which, I mean, you could say, well, why do you bring your sim to the library then? Because you're in a public lot. But the thing is, a lot of times I don't have a computer, especially in university. I like want to come here to use these library computers. Oh my gosh, I just realized something. I totally forgot about this. So I'm sitting here talking about the back room of this library, right? And I had put bookshelves in front of where the doorways were supposed to be and just didn't even think about it. And then I went to work on that room and I was like, oh, you can't get in there because I put bookshelves everywhere. So I had to remove some of them and then put the archways into the back room. Yeah, that was kind of embarrassing. Look, it's easy to make sort of glaringly obvious mistakes in this game sometimes, okay? It's easy to do things like forget a trash can, forget a fridge, put a wall instead of a door, you know? It seems like it would be obvious, but if you're not thinking about it, it happens. Oh, and speaking of doors, there's a little part sort of by that front desk area because the counters are completely blocking it in. It looks like there's not a door to it, but I did put a door to the front desk from another room. I wanted to have it be totally closed off from the front entrance. I just liked how it looked when it was completely closed, but there is a door for your Sims to physically walk through to get behind the desk. I've furnished the 2 front rooms now, so we can kind of talk about those. I have like basically 2 office spaces almost off the sides next to the staircases. I made one of them into like a project room, which I know I kind of explained the other one was like that, but this one I put things like the whiteboard from high school years, and I put like a little business pie chart project thing in there too, because I was trying to pretend that your Sims might work on their project in there, because you do get real projects like that from university, so I wanted to give a space where you could pretend to have your Sim work on it. And then the other room has all the research machines. They look kind of like computers, but they're like a knowledge machine and your sim can contribute knowledge to it. I should warn you that it is possible to die from contributing knowledge to it, but that's only if you like really overdo it, because you get paid while doing it. You get like a couple hundred simoleons for contributing your knowledge, but if you like constantly keep doing it after your sim gets dazed from doing it too much, that's when you can die. So I've never had a sim die from it by accident. I've done it on purpose before where I was like, oh no, they're close to dying. What if I just did it again? But I've never like had it happen to me by accident, so I don't want to like make you too scared to use the thing. It isn't random. Just be careful. If your sim gets dazed, don't do it again. I feel like that's probably one of the most, I would say, underrated deaths in The Sims 4, because it's the kind of thing that most people don't encounter, because I don't know how many people even use that research machine. So give it a try. If you've got university and you've never seen that death, maybe go make a sim and try and kill them. Am I a bad influence for recommending stuff like this to you? Is that like bad of me to do? I'm just trying to teach you about tips and tricks for The Sims. I'm making educational content about all the ways your sim can die. If anything, I'm warning you to make sure it doesn't happen by accident. Anyway, I'm kind of going in and adding some decorations now because I've got most of the main furniture placed. With builds like this, I always get a little bit overwhelmed by just how big they are. So I tend to go through and place like all of the big furniture pieces in first. Whereas normally I might kind of go room by room and then fully finish each room. With this one, I placed like all the bookshelves, all the desks, all those big main things to kind of give me a layout. And then I went back in and added clutter and added like little tiny books and different plants and stuff. And I feel like that kind of helped me because then I felt less overwhelmed by just how big the place was and how empty it was at first. And as per usual, I have saved painting the walls until absolutely last because I didn't know what color I wanted to use for them. So I just avoided it and then started landscaping outside instead. I'm kind of putting some bushes and flowers around that little courtyard in the front. And you might be noticing that really cute sort of pride flag looking item that I've got in the front yard. And that is something I wanted to show you because I totally did not realize that item existed. I'll show you once I go into game again to do the tour, but that's actually the university banner item. So the default swatch is this like Brightchester University logo thing, and most of the other swatches are sports related. And so it's all a whole bunch of like red and green sports things. And the last swatch is those little rainbow flags. So I think I just totally didn't know it existed because I don't usually look at that item because I thought it was all university stuff. But turns out it has that really adorable rainbow swatch. So now that I know we have it, I'm probably gonna use it a bunch, but I figured a lot of you might not have seen it either because everybody in my Twitch chat hadn't seen it. We were all like, wait a minute, this thing is perfect. I had no clue it was there. It's so funny when that happens. University came out in November of 2019 and there's still stuff sometimes that I've never seen before. This happens from all of the packs though, and I think oftentimes it's because there's sort of hidden swatches that you might not realize are good, especially with stuff like this because you kind of write off the item like, oh, it's just boring university stuff, and you don't realize that it's got like some other maybe more usable normal swatches like the rainbow one. I'm not usually looking for giant 4-tile wide Brightchester banners to put in like my Sims backyard, you know? So how would I have known it was there? We're almost done with the build now though. I'm kind of just going through and putting in some last minute details. I put some tables outside. There's some more benches out here. Obviously I added in some more trees and landscaping and stuff. I also tried to add in a couple other outdoor activity type things. So I put a soccer ball and a football, not the same thing, like a soccer ball and an American football. I put both. I also made this like little picnic blanket looking thing out of a rug and then put a picnic basket on it underneath a tree. And then I found a different rainbow banner thing. It's not quite the same, but it fit a little bit better because it was slightly smaller. And I ended up using that instead of the university one, which kind of sucks because like I built this whole thing around the university one, but I saw that get together one had these really cute flowers around it. So I used that around the entrance of the fountain area. And then I went in and added terrain paint like everywhere to try and blend stuff together, and that was pretty much the whole build. I did cut out a couple things from the speed build because it was just so long, so I'm gonna go pop into the game and show you a full tour of everything. So this is my finished Brightchester library, and I am really excited about this. I built it also because I'm gonna start playing University in my Legacy Challenge soon, so stay tuned because we're gonna post those videos probably soonish. I don't know. They're not aged up into young adults yet, so I'm not ready, but we're getting there. So it'll be fun to like actually use this library, but it was also just kind of fun to build. So a couple things on the outside I wanted to point out. This is that little picnic blanket I mentioned. So I did this by combining 2 rugs. That one is a Dream Home Decorator rug, and this one is from the Pastel Pop Kit, and I layered them so it looks like a little picnic blanket, and I put a basket on top. Your Sims won't use it, but it looks cute. And then over here, I put some bikes kind of around the place. This is that cute banner I was talking about. I felt like it sized down and fit a little bit better in this entrance, but the one from University that I was so excited to find, it's this thing, which I never would have known had good swatches. Most of them are very, very, very university based. But look at that, it has this really adorable rainbow swatch. It was just a little bit too big to fit appropriately here, and then it was too small when it got sized down, so I decided to use the Get Together one instead. But I really, really like this item. It's the Alpha Kappa banner set, so if you're looking for it, there you go. Over on this side, we've got the footballs in the grass, and then in the back, I put this statue over here. There's just some tables and like little bits of landscaping. I tried to make a little fake bike rack. This is a thing from high school years debug. It's supposed to be a fence, but I thought it looked kind of like a bike rack, and so I put it there and then put some bikes with it. I was having a hard time filling these walls in the front, and so I found these little banners from high school years. They come in a blue and a red, which I thought kind of matched the colleges from university, and so I put one for each side. We've got like the bright Chester green and the Foxbury red. It almost looks like a museum to me as well when we have those banners. And then I took these trees and I placed them in this little tiny urn sized up a bunch to have like something to fill the wall there, and I thought it looked really pretty. When you actually come inside, we have a little entryway right here. I used the high school years tile on this super cute high school years rug that looks like a tile mosaic. This might have been a little bit extreme, but I also put giant bookshelves on either side. Again, I realized this part might be a bit excessive, but I kind of liked it. And then I had a hard time finding a space for the chess tables inside, so I put them right here in the entry. Sure, it might be a little loud, but it's The Sims, so it doesn't matter. And then when you come forward, this is like the main part of the library, so you can walk up here to the main desk. They've got some books, there's a book return, and we have that cool crest back there, and then your Sims can get into here through this door, which I felt like actually kind of was really fitting. This is a dorm door, but I don't know, I think it works for a community space like this. I also put a couple chairs for you to sit in. There's big bookshelves around here, and then on both sides there's bathrooms. I did put some like stains, like water spills on the floor. No one said it was the nicest bathroom. It's not bad, it's just you know, a little bit gross deep down. There's one of those on both sides, so it's easy for you to access. And then in here we have that little project room, so I've got a couple items for your Sims to pretend to work on projects with. I put like a whiteboard and stuff. On the other side, these are those deadly research machines. We've got 4 of them, so hopefully they're never like completely used up by other Sims. I don't think they should be. In the back, we've got another study sort of room. I tried to put some laptops and some backpacks so it looks like Sims were actually working in here, and then you could use them if you wanted to. We've got vending machines so you can get food. Upstairs, we've got a big open entryway, and then on both sides, there's just computers and bookshelves up here. So in total, there are loads of computers in this building. You shouldn't have any issues with Sims using them all. Over on this side, I put the little speech and debate room, and I did test this. It looks like your Sim can't fit, but they actually can. Don't worry, I checked. And then I put some chairs so you could watch the debates. No one actually will, but I thought it was cute. And then we have that little art studio too, which you maybe don't need, but is kind of fun to have. There's a little balcony that has some more chess tables and a telescope. There's 2 telescopes here, so there's 2 ways for your Sims to die, from the telescope or from the research machine. And that dumpster I was talking about is down here on this side, just in case you need to woohoo. But that is the entire build, and I feel like it honestly has everything I'm gonna need when I'm playing with University. I will say, I used a lot of packs. I'm a little bit embarrassed by how many packs I used. I really try to balance limited pack builds and then like all pack sort of builds. This is one of those all pack sort of builds. A bunch of random packs too, like a Realm of Magic bench, 4 different kits. Yeah, I'm sorry. If you want to download this, it's just called the Bright Chester Library on my gallery, and I built this live on my Twitch channel first, so if you're ever curious to come hang out with us and build live, I'm gonna link my Twitch streams down below. I do a lot of building over there, and it's pretty fun. It's cool too because people can live input and give ideas. Like for example, the bike rack was a chat suggestion. I didn't even know this debug item existed, and I feel like it looks pretty cool back here. But on that note, I think I'm gonna end this video right here. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'm gonna see you all tomorrow. Okay, bye everybody. Now I'm gonna have to rebuild all of the other university lots. Just you wait. I'm gonna have dorm videos. We're gonna have to do the student unions. We have a lot of work to do.